Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Amy out today, sick. Hopefully she'll be feeling better and back tomorrow. Mississippi State coach Mike Leach, one of my favorite college football coaches because high-powered offenses. You remember Texas Tech, perhaps. And he's just a colorful guy. He suffered a heart attack and is in critical condition. And so the football world and everybody should be praying for Mike Leach for his recovery. And just colorful guy. Like, I'll give you an example. You know, we like the colorful coaches here. Mike Leach describing players not playing hard.
Instead of playing hard and getting a first down and getting a play, then, you know, you want to sit behind a shade tree, eat a fish sandwich, and drink a lemonade with your fat little girlfriend.
I wonder if that was the sort of colorful commentary, post-game press conferences and post-game huddles, even in private, that John Holecek offered when he coached Loyola Academy, which was right up until just a few days ago. John Holecek is a 4-time state champion over 17 years at Loyola Academy. Of course, a lot of people know him from starring at Marian Catholic and then University of Illinois, and then in the NFL with the Bills and the Chargers and the Falcons. And he joins us now to talk a little bit about high school football in this day and age. John, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. But I just did get a notification that he did pass away. So.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, that's terrible.
Tremendous loss. Yeah.
Did you know him by chance?
No. But just reading his bio about how he wrote a book about Geronimo, the Native American, and then had taught a class on warfare or insurgent warfare. So amazing guy. Amazing.
He was, and a colorful guy too. I mean, he's like one of those guys. It seems to me from afar that players would love to play for, even when he's criticizing them for not playing hard, hanging out behind a tree with a fish sandwich and their fat little girlfriend. I don't know. It's just an interesting visual. But anyway, so that's sad news about Mike Leach. Let's talk a little bit about your career, and particularly as a coach at Loyola Academy in Wilmette, and what that was like over 17 years. You know, you only had, I think, like 209 wins to go to catch Frank Lente at Mount Carmel. I don't know why you quit so early on, but your time at Loyola Academy.
Well, I started when I had a 1, 2, and 3-year-old, and now my youngest is going to graduate. So it was kind of appropriate. I've always thought like this would be the kind of the year, and then, you know, as you move on and you see, you know, our legendary coach John Herster, I think, passed away at like 52 from a heart attack. There's stress involved, like everything. But
sure,
I just I thought it was you know, a nice time for me to step away. But man, what a great family of people, and the support. The student athletes at Loyola know how to win and know how to work, and the families are behind you. So certainly the assistant coaches that are going to stay, and the administration now that really dedicated to athletics. I felt like it's all moving the right way. If there's any time, it would be this year that I would step away.
How has the game changed from the time you played and even the time you started coaching with, you know, the issue about concussions and parents being more reticent to allow their boys to play to play football at any level? What was how did that impact your time from moving from playing to coaching?
Well, first, I think, you know, the concussion issue came up really strongly after the movie, and
right.
About 5 years ago, and the numbers started decreasing a little for us, not a ton. Generally, like 100 freshmen around come out for freshman football, and then it started dipping a little bit. But then after the pandemic, people understood, like, okay, we need our kids to get into some physical activity. So they came back strong, and and I noticed that across the grade schools also. So it looks like there's a resurgence there. So I think football's in a good place, and I think the education from coaches about the concussions, about the small hits adding up, it's out there. And so I think everyone's smarter and more dedicated. I was telling people this year, people cannot believe that our varsity practices, we never went to the ground, not one time. We had half the scrimmage in one practice where we actually tackled. Other than that, you're not allowed to fall down. You don't go to the ground. There's no full contact. We train tackling up to that point, and your feet, your hands. You go through it in like the drills, but it's not like heavy contact like it used to be. So I think football's in a great spot because of the education. When I was playing, it was, in the NFL, I remember one drill where, we're taking on linemen straight on just to teach toughness. Kind of got knocked out a little bit, and the coach said, just take the rest of the segment off. There's no trainer
protocol.
involved.
Right.
Yeah, it was so now that incident would have been, evaluated and probably would have out at least a few days. Nowadays it's so much safer, so the game's in a good spot, I think.
Well, that's interesting because actually where I went to school, they don't tackle during the game at Northwestern. So that they've taken it from practice to the actual games. I don't know if you've seen that.
Well, I don't know about that part, but Northwestern is gonna be in a bad spot unless they really get in that NIL. I don't think that university is embrace that, and the new rule in football is it's free agency, it's minor leagues, it's not college, it's pro. So
So talk a little bit more about that, particularly for families that may have aspiring college football players and D1 college football players. Why does a Northwestern or any program have to embrace an NIL? I mean, there's not that many players that get those deals, are there?
I think Michigan's gonna. I'm not positive. I thought everyone on the Michigan team is going to get at least $30,000-$40,000.
Really?
That's like that's going to be the standard now. So once they took that lid off, it's the Wild West, and you better join it or prepare to move down the conference, because you're not going to get a transfer at any type of specialized position that's worth it without giving them money. And so.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that move at the collegiate level?
Well, I kind of loved it if I was playing, but
yeah, sure, right.
But I mean, honestly, the coaches are making $10 to $15 million at some schools, and the players got nothing. So it was very anti-American process. But now that it's out, it's really it's going to be a problem. There's going to be lots of issues, but I don't know how they're going to fix it, but. It's certainly going to cause a lot of strife in a lot of different worlds. I mean, they don't have education for 18-year-olds coming in that type of money. That they're like the NFL gives rookie symposiums, and they try to push education and financial education. How are they going to do that to 18-year-olds that have no idea? And so it's going to have some problems, but obviously the concept is smart.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, that 30 for 30, that ESPN documentary that documented the incidents of professional athletes, even those that made tons of money during the course of their playing career, that go BK within the first few years of retirement. Pretty stark numbers, pretty depressing numbers.
Yeah, there's that issue, but and also like the predatory people around the athletes. Uh-huh. The fact that you're gonna have a father in the stands going to start, because we already have like incidents that we're playing a 7-on-7 and some father's yelling, "Go get him!" I'm like, there's no tackling here, there's no contact. Stay up and get him, and you realize like these parents are so involved with their kids moving on, and the involvement of parents is what I've really seen over the last 17 years when I started coaching. I think a lot of parents trusted and kind of stood back and watched, and now they're it's so participatory. They're involved in everything, and that's kind of a not so welcome change for a coach.
Really? But, I mean, even for you, somebody playing the NFL, I would think you would sort of have a trump card when it comes to, and not to mention winning championships. I would think that the parents at Loyola would give you some room to operate.
Obviously, I think, depending on the coach's qualifications, you do have a little leeway there. But trust me, there's a small percent anywhere who are going to think they know better. Interesting.
So a little bit more on that. So, what was it like when you first came to Loyola? Because I don't recall Loyola being a real football powerhouse, at least not when I was in school. And but over the last decade and a half, they've become one under your coaching.
Well, in the 90s, they won in 93. There was a couple of good stretch runs. Coach Herser had it going. He passed away. 3 years, Carl Favaro was a great guide coach, but I think that there was just not so much an emphasis. And so we came in 2006 and started building from there. Our first year was 5-4, and then I don't think we lost, another season didn't have more than 3 losses, maybe 4 once. But I thought it was just a building process of getting the kids to buy in. The off season's huge. Making sure they're in shape and running, and certainly, like, my coaches had a great buy-in. We watched film more than any school you could ever imagine. So our mistakes on the field are limited, and treated like a college or program a little bit. So I just got a survey back, and one of the comments was, coach can have more consideration for family time during the holidays. I'm like, well, that's the best. If that's the worst thing I did, then I feel pretty good about my job.
Yeah, actually, a mutual friend of ours said that one of the real differences was the homework piece of it, the watching film, both you as a coach as well as the players to understand the mistakes that were made in the game, and bringing that homework football aspect to the high school level, which seems like eminently sensible.
Well, it's a lot of work because there's lots of weekdays where you fall asleep on the computer at 10 o'clock, exhausted, but that the kid is never going to search for answers. The best thing about being a coach is putting that kid in position to succeed and feeling confident that you did your job. And I was never going to let that happen where a kid was like, well, I wish I would have known that. I wish I would have done, They're going to get all the information and more. And I think it shows when our kids go to college, they think, they're super prepared, and it's a great way. And I think our assistant coaches at Loyola just completely bought in and realize when you're working there, it's not for the dollars. You're going to earn a very little wage when you consider the amount of hours, but the reward is so many other things. And I saw that when I just did retire, the amount of thanks and gratitude coming from my former players is just overwhelming.
That's great. So, I mean, you're still a young guy. I'm sure you've gotten offers previously, and I'm sure you're getting offers currently. Do you want to coach at the next level, college or the pros?
I'm kind of open right now. I'm just relaxing. I don't have a resume. I don't push it. I haven't asked anybody that about a certain position. I'm trying to go through the holidays without doing much, but I'm certainly open to something in any type of work. I know I'm going to coach at some point, even if it's volunteering somewhere sometime in my life. But like I said, when you jump into something so 100% fully committed, you need to step back and take a break once in a while, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to this year.
He is former, not just retired, Loyola Academy high school football coach John Holecek, 4-time state champion. John, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on going out on top. That's always a nice way to do it. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor business benefactor program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are facing food insecurity because of natural disasters, COVID, and the rising price of food.
Your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500